We cared about them as human beings.
They deal with the insurance company for you, which is so nice and helpful.
One of the most important things that I prioritize is setting the right expectation, what they can expect from their insurance carrier, what ducks need to be lined up to make sure their project reaches the outcome that they desire.
I'm on the phone most of the day, talking with insurance companies, trying to resolve a claim that has not been paid correctly. We don't give up.
They were able to come out and give a full, in-depth inspection. That process ultimately led to a doubling of the claim.
He probably got me, at least on this roof, $50,000 more by my calculation than I would have gotten with the other roofers.
It goes far beyond what a normal roofing company would do. We're going to do it right.
McRoof Fortifies Oklahoma back on the air this Saturday morning, live radio on Freedom 96.9 on Saturday morning. How about that? On this date in 1636, the Massachusetts Bay Colony passed its first law. Don't know what it was, but today's date in 1636, the first law in the New World was passed. 12 years later, 1648, Peter Stuyvesant established America's first volunteer fire service. And then just by way of making you go, what? 1972 and 2025 are as far apart as 1972 and 1919.
Huh?
Like that.
That's a head scratcher.
Yeah.
Okay, let me
get my abacus out.
Yeah, let me get the trivia question out there one more time before we go back to you, Daniel.
Try to read it correctly this time.
I will try. The Strengthen Oklahoma Homes program offers $10,000 grants for homeowners to fortify their roofs to the high wind and hail standard. To date, how many fortified roofs have been built through the grants program? 26, 46, 74, or 92? Give us a call, 405-608-4377.
Now, just remember, this program rolled out around the 1st of March.
Oh,
all right?
That's right.
Figure that it probably takes 30, 45 days for somebody to get through the application process, get to a point of actually having their bids and being able to select a contractor. So that puts you into mid-April, okay, where roofs probably were able to start being built if someone was all the way through their process, their insurance claim, anything else they had to do, getting their money in order, whatever.
Sure.
So keep that in mind.
All right. So once again, how many of these roofs have been built since the grant started earlier this year? 26, 46, 74, or 92? All right, Daniel Gonzalez, Alpha Pro Roofing.
Yes,
Tell us more about you and your business.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I'd love
Oh,
to.
you have a story to tell.
Oh, you know what? There's always stories to tell in roofing, that's for sure. Some of them good, some of them interesting, as I like to say.
Yeah, sure.
A story that I think about right now, we've got a customer in Edmond, and, we had a really big storm last September time frame. Just hammered houses.
Right.
And we had, 8 or 9 houses in this neighborhood that we had been doing roofs for and everything. And I get a referral to one of them through a friend of mine. So I go out and I look at it. Of course, it's hammered like everything else. The insurance company comes out. I won't name names, but they come out and they deny this roof. So they got out there before I was called there. I was called afterwards because they denied it. And, it's one of those deals where you go out and you kind of walk up there and you're just like, how did we miss this?
Yeah,
so,
were they at the right house?
So long story short, it is a year later, we are just now getting to where we can put that roof on. Almost every other house has been re-roofed in the neighborhood. It's one of those deals that you have to be real tenacious and kind of go back and forth with the insurance companies and document things and deal with the things that you have to deal with. But we've been able to walk this customer through that process. Thankfully they've been very patient. But it's one of those deals. Those are the type of things that I know I can speak for me, but probably for Scott as well, that I really enjoy doing, because had this customer not had a knowledgeable,
A professional,
someone who's patient, dealing with that, then they would have been stuck without being able to get this roof done.
Right.
I mean, most customers aren't going to put up a fight like this, and so behoove it to them as well. And so we finally got it done for them. So we're happy. We're going to be putting it on in the next couple of weeks, and I'm super excited for them.
And we have those situations where someone has one of those other contractors.
Yeah.
And they're they're motivated to the quick nickels.
Yeah.
Okay. And they kind of lose interest in that process.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of work involved in it. It takes a lot of tenacity, and you have to really have that stick-to-itiveness. And we'll get calls from people like that somebody's, not returning their calls now, and they're halfway through this process and need somebody to see it through. So Daniel's right. You have to have a professional that knows how to do that, but you have to have somebody that's willing to really put the work in and stick with it to get that outcome for that consumer.
Yeah, and I think, with the professionalism side of things too, is a lot of contractors aren't really good at documentation and keeping up with admin type stuff.
Right.
So having the background to be able to do that and keep up with a year's worth of documentation and back and forth, there are a lot of contractors that, they just don't have that bandwidth to do that either.
We had two this week that Scotty had been struggling, and when Scotty sends a report in, an inspection in, or sends a supplement to an insurance company, it clearly has his Hague credentials on it. Okay, so they know it's not some, anyway. So they denied, and he said, "What do I do?" I said, "Okay, we're going to demand appraisal." We demanded appraisal. We named, had our clients name an appraiser for this. It was the same insurance company, and the insurance company named the same appraiser for both cases. So they met on both jobs on Tuesday, and the appraiser for the insurance company said, "This is ridiculous. Why are we here?" But if you don't know what the process is, and as you said, if you haven't dotted your I's, crossed your T's to be ready to move forward with that, then you don't get that outcome.
Yeah.
We're visiting with Daniel Gonzalez, owner of Alpha Pro Roofing, here on McRoof Fortifies, Oklahoma. Scott McCullum and I and Daniel will be back after the news. You're listening to McRoof Fortifies, Oklahoma, and Edgar will take your question when we get back.
Oh, Edgar.
Freedom 96.9, the station that covers the issues of our state and nation with 100,000 watts of power. This is the new Freedom 96.9 at freedom969.com. Freedom
Weather. Here's your Oklahoma City AccuWeather forecast. This afternoon brings sunny skies with a breeze and lower humidity. Strong winds and dry conditions raise the fire risk. The high reaches 87. Tonight remains clear with a low of 62. Tomorrow stays breezy and warm under the sun, hitting 87. Monday continues warm and sunny, reaching 86. Tuesday sees sunshine filtered through high clouds with a high at 83. With your Oklahoma City AccuWeather forecast, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
We interrupt our program with a special bulletin. The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are solely those of the speakers and other contributors. These views and opinions do not necessarily represent those of this station.
McRoof Fortifies Oklahoma back on the air for the second half of today's show. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. We're live in studio on Saturday morning on Freedom 96.9 with Scott McCullum of McRoof.us and Daniel Gonzalez of Alpha Pro Roofing. Our trivia question still out there, 405-608-4377. I'll revisit that after we talk to Edgar in a moment. But first, obscure historical trivia time. You know, in any war, you win a few, you lose a few. In our nation's battle for independence, in 1777, the Battle of Germantown, General George Washington's troops attack and are defeated by the British at Germantown, Pennsylvania, on this date in 1777. You win a few, you lose a few. We ended up winning. That's, you lost the battle, but you win the war. That's okay. 1854, Abraham Lincoln resumed his political career. I don't know what caused the pause, but 1854, he resumed his political career with a speech at the Illinois State Fair in Springfield denouncing the recent federal legislation extending slavery. Okay, so we are on the YouTube channel, the McRoof Fortifies YouTube channel. I believe, at least I checked it, it's on my phone. I can watch it on my phone.
I don't know if I believe
here
you
in studio, it's telling me we're not on, so I don't know what's going on. I think the moon is in feces, is what I think.
Yeah.
All right, so
Edgar.
Oh yeah, Edgar.
Don't forget about Edgar.
Thank you, Edgar. You've been waiting patiently. You have a question.
Yes. Hey, Scott. How you doing?
Good, Mr. Edgar. How are you today?
Good, good. I got a quick question for you.
Uh-huh.
What does the building code say about the drip edge?
Okay, man, I tell you, this is such a great question, Edgar. I appreciate you asking because there's so much misunderstanding. So,
building code about what?
About drip edge.
Drip edge.
And he's referring to the Chapter 9 of the International Residential Code, roof assemblies. And the building code says that you must have a drip edge. It states the gauge of that metal. That metal is supposed to be a minimum 26 gauge. Most drip edge that is going on people's houses is not 26 gauge metal. It specifies a nailing pattern on that metal, which is not being followed in almost every installation. It specifies that drip edge overlap where you join it by 2 inches. That's what the building code says. Now, Fortified says 3 inches, okay? So building code and Fortified, we all know that Fortified is above and beyond. So what most roofing contractors do, and Edgar, I'm sure you've seen this, most roofing contractors nail the drip edge basically in a straight line. That is not how drip edge is supposed to be nailed. It is supposed to be nailed staggered top to bottom on that roof decking surface, okay? One of the reasons that they nail it in a straight line is because they're using the wrong drip edge. They're using a drip edge that is 1.5 inches or perhaps a 2-inch dimension on the roof. It's pretty hard to stagger your nails by very much when you've got a drip edge that is that small. The building code says that you must have a minimum of 2 inches on the roof deck. if you have a 3/4 inch fascia and you have a gap behind the fascia and you're using a 2-inch drip edge, you cannot possibly have 2 inches of drip edge on the roof deck. Okay? So your drip edge needs to be 3 inches or 4 inches on the roof surface. 26 gauge steel, properly nailed, properly overlapped. I tell everyone that no roofs, with one notable exception, no roofs in Oklahoma are being built to the building code because there are so many of these little gotchas in the building code that roofing contractors don't know about. Roofs have never been inspected, like they should be inspected. Nothing has been inspected, so nothing has been enforced. All right. The building code for roofing is not enforced. That's something that Avery Smith at Orca, the membership of Orca, we're working to build the technical competency, the code knowledge, the education level of our contractors to where we can actually build code compliant roofs. We did a session a month and a half or so ago, had a full room, 150 people or so in the room. And we're getting ready to start doing that on a rolling road show throughout the state of Oklahoma now. So, Edgar, did I answer your question?
Yes, perfect, Scott. That's gold right there.
Man, I appreciate you, Edgar. You have an awesome day, okay?
Thank you very much. I'm learning something every Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, Edgar. So the drip code nailing, that staggered nailing, what the building code says and what Fortified says, again, are two different things. The building code says every 12 inches. Fortified says every 6 inches, and now is being changed for the high wind in the 25 standard to every 4 inches, all right? The building code says a 2-inch overlap where your two pieces of drip edge join. Fortified says 3 inches overlap. And Fortified requires 2 nails in that 3 inches where the drip edge overlaps. So
I have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Because I'm only just vaguely familiar with drip edge. I've certainly seen it. When you buy the drip edge to put on a roof, it's not a product. I mean, it's not necessarily a bundle of that's labeled drip edge. It's basically some metal that you have to shape.
Yeah, no, they're 10-foot. They're 10-foot sticks. They're bit basically in an L shape.
Okay, so they're preformed. Okay,
they're 10 feet long.
So my question: if the code says one thing and people are putting on inferior stuff, why is the inferior drip edge even available to purchase?
So here's where you go, Rick. And believe me, I have these conversations with ABC and SRS and Beacon QXO. Why send products to a job site that your contractor, who is oblivious to what the requirements of the code are, cannot use to install that roof and comply with the building code?
Right.
And the answer invariably comes back is our contractors, our customers want cheap.
Right.
All right, that's the answer.
Yeah.
And when you ask the roofing community why you do this crap, because our clients want cheap. Yeah. That's unfortunate. And so then you take it from distribution, you go up to manufacturing. Why do you, Mr. Manufacturer, manufacture crap that nobody can install in a code compliant system? Because distribution wants cheap. That is the issue.
And I think you touched on the root cause of it is that there have been no inspections. It hasn't been an inspection item that can fail.
You inspect what you expect. And to tell you the degree that this is an issue and a problem is that the home building community in Oklahoma went and fought for and was given an exception to the drip edge in Oklahoma, okay, where they can install a shingle mold, what they call a shingle mold, a 1x2, a 1.5x2, something. They can install a shingle mold on the fascia and extend that shingle, that starter course, beyond that shingle mold and not have to put drip edge on a house. The problem with that is that does not funnel the water. That does not guarantee that the water ends up where you want it. The reason for drip edge is to be able to seal that edge of the roof where you go from the roof to the fascia to keep water from getting in as it runs down the roof plane behind the fascia or into the soffits. And what we want is we want a drip edge, and we want our gutters installed. The back of our gutter is installed under the drip edge, behind the drip edge.
Yeah.
That guarantees you that none of that water is ending up back in that assembled roof. It's not ending up back in the lookouts, the fascia, the soffit, someplace you don't water. That's what drip edge is for. And the builders were granted an exception by OUBCC and do not have to install drip edge on their homes.
So in the one, this is an impossible question to answer in 1 minute, but why aren't the insurance companies insisting that best practices aren't being followed? They're the ones insuring the roof.
The insurance companies have no knowledge of best practices in roofing. The insurance companies have no knowledge. The only thing insurance companies know about roofs is what type of roof is it and how old is it. That's all insurance companies know about roofs. That is the changing conversation. That is what we're involved in and what we're all about in terms of Roof RX, what we're doing, the work we'll do at PRMA, the Private Risk Managers Association. We're changing those conversations to where underwriters and loss prevention people, professionals in the space, are going to know about roof assemblies and about building codes, about what needs to be done, and they're not going to insure risks that are not done correctly.
Okay. With that, we'll take our next break, our final break. We'll be back for the final segment. Our trivia question still unanswered. The Strengthen Oklahoma Homes Grant Program offering $10,000 to fortify your roof. To date, how many of these fortified roofs have been built? 26, 46, 74, or 92? Give us a call, 405-608-4377. Homer Stacy was a wholesome, good American kid from Texas. At the age of 18, he enlisted in the United States Army Horse Cavalry and was stationed at Fort Bliss. Homer was fascinated with aircraft, so he went to flight school and became an Army Air Corps pilot. Homer Stacy flew a Convair B-24 Liberator, the Yankee Doodle Dandy, on November 11, 1943, when his crew, along with 31 other bombers, destroyed a ball-bearing plant in occupied France. On a return trip, a mechanical failure caused the Yankee Doodle Dandy to drop out of formation, leaving it vulnerable, and shortly thereafter, 7 German Me-109s shot down the plane near Andano, Italy. 4 crew members were killed on board, the others parachuted. 1 was captured and taken prisoner. Homer was among the remaining 5 who made it to Switzerland and returned to duty. Homer Stacy survived World War II, the Korean War, and retired after 23 years of service with many awards and commendations, including the Distinguished Flying Cross, the Purple Heart, and multiple air medals. Homer Stacy McCollum, Scott McCollum's dad. Scott McCollum is McRoof. McRoof.us is owned and operated by the McCollum family, an honorable, trustworthy red, white, and blue family. If you want to fortify your property, call McRoof.us at 405-877-4663. Ask for your complimentary roof inspection performed by a credentialed Hague residential inspector. McRoof.us, saving lives and protecting property by fortifying Oklahoma one roof at a time. McRoof Fortifies Oklahoma back on the air for the final segment. This morning, our trivia question still out there. 405-608-4377. The Strengthen Oklahoma Homes program offers $10,000 grants for homeowners to fortify their roofs to the high wind and hail standard. So since it's started back in March and April to date, how many of these fortified roofs have been built through the grants program? 26, 46, 74, or 92? Give us a call, 405-608-4377. On this date in 1931, the Dick Tracy comic strip debuted. It was drawn and created by Chester Gould, who happened to have been born in a log cabin outside of Pawnee, Oklahoma. Wow. Dick Tracy from Oklahoma. On this date in 1937, the Oklahoma City Civic Center Music Hall opened, originally called the Municipal Auditorium, but on this date in 1937, WPA project. And then on this date in 1957, the TV sitcom Leave It to Beaver debuted on CBS.
I grew up with that one.
Boy, me too. Gee, Wally.
So we have a question about Fortified. Alpha Pro is a fortified contractor.
Good.
In the grant program. And so just wanted to throw that out there. So Daniel, I had a question for you. People call you and they say, man, I need an estimate on my roof.
Yeah.
Well, where do you go with that?
We get that a lot, a lot of times. Generally what we try to do, of course, again, like you say, we go to market very similar to how you guys go to market. So the number one thing that we're going to try to do with the customer is just talk them through, go inspect their property, but give them a true valuation of where they're at and what they're needing. I do find that sometimes those customers that are looking for estimates for roof are doing it because someone told them they need one. And, sometimes they really don't.
Right.
So sometimes, they just need a little bit repair. So our first thing is to go out and actually assess what's going on and what's real, what's not, and then, show them the documentation that we have. And then, depending on what the situation is, if it's a hailstorm or a windstorm, something like that, then we kind of advise them what their options are with their policy coverages. And then, from there, we just try to find out what their true needs are and then build from that. We're one of those companies like you, I don't want to do the race to the bottom. I don't want to fight with the chuck and the trucks. We want to build a system roof. We want to have a warranty that's going to last as long as possible for the customer. So we're going to try to really build a relationship, build value with them. Of course, some of the side of that is obviously it's not going to be the cheapest roof.
Right.
But it's going to be right.
Right.
And I heard you say this the other day, and I just really liked it. But with the chuck and the trucks, you get the taillight warranty.
Taillight warranty. Yeah.
And so as soon as the guy leaves the job and his taillights are gone, so is your warranty.
Yeah.
And so that's not what we're about.
Right.
So it's just explaining that thing and really building that value to the customer so that they understand, so that they do, when they do inevitably see the price tag of a professional roof system that's built to last, that's built to the proper codes and to the right specifications, they're not as surprised.
Yeah, that's one of the things that Carly works really hard at, and Wanda, when they take those initial phone calls, or when we have that first call back from a form fill online or something like that, is to make sure that we've established with people, and the radio is a great place for us because it builds filters into things. We get people that call from the radio that have listened to me for years and years and years. They know we're not going to be the cheapest. Right. They know that we have a process. They know that we have a way of approaching this that's going to lead them to a place where they'll be able to make decisions that are in their best interest. And I tell people all the time. In fact, I have a white paper of why you don't need an estimate on your roof.
Yeah.
And the real bottom line is that people that have the idea and the insurance agents that will tell people we'll get 3 estimates. That's crazy.
Yeah.
No 3 estimates are going to be the same. They're not going to be apples to apples. No one's going to use the same product, the same system, the same methodology. No one's going to provide the same supervision, the same degree of hand-holding and care. And the consumers are not prepared to be able to sort through the differences in estimates unless you have a written specification for a roof and you insist that everyone bid exactly the same thing. Then estimates aren't worth the paper that they're written on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Absolutely. And, in residential roofing, unlike commercial where everyone's bidding the same spec, the same specifications.
Right.
Residential roofing is just whatever that specific roofer puts on and however they specifically build the roof. So,
and quite honestly, the greater the degree of technical competency and education and credentials and professionalism that roofing contractor has, I'll just tell you that quite honestly should translate into a higher estimate from that contractor for the exact same job.
Yeah. One of the things that I find too is that, contractors don't know how to price their work to stay in business for the long haul.
No.
So that's the other side
That's
of
a whole
it.
other show.
We had that conversation
Hey,
before,
let's get
so.
Scott up on the roof, shall we?
Oh,
Well, you got a story. You got a story to tell here. Hang on, Scott.
Oh, man.
The golden rule. Tell me about the golden rule.
The golden rule is, and I've got some examples for people. This is for consumers. This is for all you people out there that are going to be hiring a roofing contractor in the future, which is pretty much all of you. Okay, pretty much all of you. We want to treat people the way we'd like to be treated, and we want to treat our subcontractors the way that we'd want to be treated. And I have several examples from very, very recent past where we have clients who are going out of their way to do everything that they can possibly do for our subcontractors to make them more comfortable, to make them feel appreciated, to make them feel respected, okay? And I'm just going to tell you that the customers that do that, that put an ice chest full of cold water out on the dry, I'm not telling anyone you have to do this. It's not required. We take care of our crews. But the customers that put an ice chest full of cold water or Gatorade out on the driveway, the customers that bake a plate of cookies and just set them out there on the pallet of shingles. The customers that, hey, I know you guys get here about 7 o'clock in the morning. Can I make some biscuits and stuff for you guys? That kind of thing. Those customers at the end of the day are going to get more from our subcontractors than the customers that want to take the opposite approach and treat them with less than full respect and human dignity, treat them as, we talked, our word today was condescending.
Right.
Be condescending towards them, patronizing towards them. They're human beings.
Sure.
There's going to be an emotional reaction to that. And that is not going to be positive ultimately for the consumers. Now, I'm not telling you all that you have to be psychologists, but I'm telling you if you would look at the golden rule and you would treat these people who work so hard in almost impossible conditions.
Yes.
And if you would treat them the way you'd like to be treated, I think we would all have a much more enjoyable day to day, and I know that the consumers would be better served in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, our friend Benny is on the line. Hello, Benny.
Good morning, gentlemen. I know time is short. Repeat the trivia question for me one last time. And I got a quick question. When you nail those ring shank nails, do you put them straight in or at an toenail angle?
Okay. How many fortified roofs have been built through the Strengthen Oklahoma Homes Grant Program? 26, 46, 74, or 92?
Well, this is purely wild guess based on the lead time and so on and so forth. 46.
Oh my gosh! Oh
Really?
man, I tell you this.
I did not expect.
I said there is no way anybody's going to get this right, and I'll be gosh danged if Benny didn't get it right.
Get it.
Hey,
Man, I
the
tell you
halo of good fortune is hanging over my head again.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you the second half of the trivia question. There's one contractor sitting in that room who has built a significant percentage of those 46. Is it Alpha Pro or is it McRoof?
I would have to go with my favorite roofing company that has done a good job for me, Mr. McRoof.
Ding, 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 ding. Way to go, Benny.
Hey,
way to go, Benny.
Benny, we're gonna have to wait. We're gonna have to wait on your ring shank nail because.
Oh, I can answer it straight in, Benny.
Straight in.
Straight
Okay.
in.
Straight in. Thank you, Benny. Stay on the line for Randy.
you.
I got to get some more business out of the way here. S&CM LLC, doing business as McRoof.us, legally operates under Oklahoma registration number 8000002, and the registration applies to both residential and commercial roofing. Daniel Gonzalez, Alpha Pro Roofing, thank you so much for being on McRoof Fortifies Oklahoma this morning.
Thank you guys for having me.
We'll
This
have
was a
Daniel
blast.
back. We could talk for hours.
Yeah, we can.
We'll have Daniel back. So.
Okay, so cue the music, and there it is. How about that? That's such power. All right, Scott, give us some dad's wisdom.
Okay, you need to go through life looking for the good in everyone. Life's just too hard to do it any other way.
Okay. You've been listening to McRoof Fortifies Oklahoma on Freedom 96.9. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. Thank you, Daniel Gonzalez. Thank you, Scott McCullum.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Retro Radio Randy.
Hey, thanks to Edgar and thanks to Benny. And
Yes.
Benny, I don't know. I think we're going to have to exclude him from our contest.
We might have to now. He's won too many times.
Yep.
Young Scotty McCullum should be back next week. We will be as well. Take care. Stay dry. Write if you get work.
Everybody have a great week.